Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call we have CEO Owen Moore and VP of Strategy and Growth, Margaux from BeWhere Holdings. BeWhere trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BEW and on the OTC under BEW-FF. The company is trading at 22.5 cents with roughly 88 million shares outstanding, or about a $20 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Hey, great. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, listen, always great to catch up with Owen and Margaux. BeWhere is, a stock that we've, we're following very closely for disclosure. I'm a shareholder, and I believe Trevor is as well. So great to have you guys here. You guys just put out your Q2 numbers, which I believe on a couple of different metrics were record for the company. So great to have you here. Great to talk about this. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the new products as well. So I'm going to hand it over to you and just let you go through your presentation.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Paul, and thanks, Trevor. Always a pleasure to hook up with you guys, and we appreciate the opportunity. So yeah, as Paul just mentioned, we released Q2 financial results on just this past Monday the 23rd. And we'll go through a quick overview of the results, at least the key metrics that we're focused on. Margaux is going to run us through a presentation on the Mini, which is getting a ton of initial interest in pre-sales activities. We're extremely close to the launch of it, and we're excited about that. And then if Margaux's daring enough, she's going to take you through a live demonstration as well, and show you the Mini. So obviously we're extremely focused on bottom line performance. This is our 7th consecutive quarter of positive adjusted EBITDA. Going back to 2019 Q4, it was relatively minor, where we posted $113 in positive adjusted EBITDA. In the most recent quarter, we're up to almost $250,000, and annualized that represents over a penny a share in EBITDA. What's more exciting than the results that we just posted? For the first time in a while, it feels like we're going to be backing up a strong quarter with more strong quarters. We've essentially closed the books on Q3 for any large orders, and have a fair bit of visibility going forward that we hadn't had as a corporation previously. So we're certainly excited about that. Net income was also a record, just shy of $130,000 in the quarter. Once again, if you annualize that number, it's a little over half a penny a share, and it's numbers that we're obviously focused on. In addition to seeing the positive adjusted EBITDA and positive net income, we also saw an improvement in cash and an improvement in working capital. And that's, the working capital number is without any dilution. There's been no warrants exercised, no options, and obviously no share issuances. Total revenue was also a record for the quarter, just shy of 2.3 million. And so, we got the company running on most of its cylinders right now, and we still think there's a lot of runway left for us. One of the most impressive things about the team is that, we're not a big team. We have 11 people, and we're starting to push up close to 10 million in revenue. And anytime you see a corporation doing close to $1 million per an employee, on annualized revenue, it shows that you're lean, but it also shows that you have an attractive business model that can scale. With that, unless there's any questions, Paul and Trevor, I'm going to hand it over to Margaux, and if you have questions on this, we can always follow up at the end as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about our Mini, which is the first product creation to the family of the asset tracker. Just a quick reminder for everybody on how the asset tracking works. It's a small device that is connected to a low power 5G network. This is an example with AT&T. And then we offer an application that can be either integrated into third-party software, or it can be our own application. So the business model is a hardware sale, and then we have a recurring revenue every month. Our two best sellers to date are the B10 and the B-Sol, not the B10 and the B10. Sorry about that. So one is a solar power device, which has a rechargeable battery. This is our, I would call it our cash cow product. It's the one that our customers prefer the most, because once you slap it, it's good to go. It potentially forever until the plastic would degrade, which would be a few years. And then we have a battery powered device, which has a bit more restrictions, less frequent ping, but same thing. If you only do a 1 GPS ping a day, you would get up to 10 years of battery before you can change them. So very convenient, very easy. You know, our price are very affordable in the market because we're using low power 5G. The cost of the data is also about $1 a month, which is, you know, a lot less than 3G or 4G. What we started noticing though is with those two products that there was a bit of a gap in the market, a gap for smaller assets, a gap for less expensive assets as well. And also we wanted to start being able to track indoor. With those two products, you really need to be outdoor because you need to get a good GPS view with the product. So enter the B-Mini, and lest we forget that because BeWhere was one of the first company in the world to start developing a product based on those new networks. We already have a lot of experience with the technology, and we're starting to see the components going through miniaturization, which is kind of normal. Think about smartphone, the size that they were and the size that they are. So again, we are able to get new components that are smaller, that are more efficient, where now a GPS is on the same module instead of being in different location. And boom, with that, we get a device that now is about a quarter of the size of our original product. So I actually have it right here. Look how tiny it is. Those are my AirPods. This is my B-Mini. And then I'll talk about my Tile and my AirTag afterwards, just to talk about some of the differences here. On this photo here, you can see that I took the B-Mini to France when I went to see my grandma back in June. And we went around, we were testing roaming. It's working really well. So the added value on that device is that we are now using Wi-Fi for micro location. We're going to be using Bluetooth for micro location. We're going to develop new configurations to have some new alerts type, for example, leash feature, that when you leave the Wi-Fi network, it's going to send you an alert, so it's a bit different. The idea is always to offer a product that is affordable and also has a long battery life. So even though this product is rechargeable, now it's a micro USB, so it's very convenient to recharge, we still want to make sure that you get the most out of it, that you don't have to recharge it every 3 days. So the use cases that, you know, we're looking to fulfill are not second for second tracking. We're still on the low power tracking. But the difference is that now we can look at different kind of assets. So we're still kind of focused on industrial use cases right now. So you can see with the V10 of the B-Sol, we're really, you know, one of the biggest sell was on trailers. Well, now you can think about tracking smaller assets like remediation equipment, like ventilators and dehumidifiers. Portable generators, we track big generators, which is this one on the left on the trailer here. And now boom, you have the small kind, the one that is portable. We can do recreational vehicles. For example, we have a pilot now with a bike company to track their bike because they can't find them fast enough. We can do returnable, so you can put a tracker into a box. You can follow a box through two warehouse, like I did when I lost my FedEx package that was going to my bike customer the other day. So I could see it at the FedEx warehouse precisely, and I knew that he had not left the warehouse when I was getting scans that he was out for delivery. So that was a bit embarrassing for FedEx at this moment, but you know, eventually we got it back. So this is a different, call it a different type of use cases, which is complementary to our existing use cases. Owen, anything you want to add?
No, just, you know, the irony of a logistics company losing a tracking device didn't go unnoticed in our office. And You know, it's fun to get on the phone with their customer service folks and say, well, listen, it's in this section of your warehouse, and you know, maybe you want to go out and find it for us after they haven't delivered it in 5 days.
Yeah, that was quite fun. The idea is still the same. So we have some videos that you can watch on our YouTube channel, but it's still the idea. So we still sell the hardware to BeMini, and the price is going to be kind of equivalent to what we already have. And the portal or the integration into a third party is all recurring. So it's still range about the same. Nothing really changes. It's just a new product which opens the market. And now maybe we can do a little demonstration.
Sure,
I can show you. And I'm also going to talk. I know there's been some questions from investors. You know, how do we differentiate from AirTag? So the Apple AirTag, how do we differentiate from Tile? It's very easy. Your AirTag and your Tile, for example, are two products that are based on, one is based on Bluetooth and one is NFC, right? It's ultra low. So those are essentially networks that need the phone to be able to report the location of the tracker. It's not standalone. It doesn't have a GPS on it. So if you put a Tile or AirTag onto your dog and your dog runs out of your house, once it's out of the range of your cell phone or somebody that belongs to the iPhone community or the Tile community, you're out of luck. With our BeMini, it's got a GPS and a standalone SIM card in it. So you never need to have some kind of reader in proximity. So technically, you can find your asset wherever it goes. So that's the main difference, and we can take questions on it. And the size, as you can see, is, you know, it's a bit bigger, but not that much. Okay, let's have a look at our bike. Maybe do you remember what we did?
I don't know if we have our bike on the screen, but we certainly have your trip right here.
So right now, the green screen that you're seeing on the map is actually my BeMini right now. And it last reported at 4:24 p.m. Eastern time, which was about 5 minutes ago. And we are reporting on Wi-Fi. So this is using the Wi-Fi network here to report the location. I'm not going to tell you where we are. You're going to have to guess. So what Owen is doing now is going to pull the historical data. I've actually have my device reporting on a very frequent reporting configuration, quite aggressive. I'm at 2 minutes when I'm moving, and then when I'm not moving, it goes back to once every 12 hours. So those are configurations that are completely up to the customer. You know, with the only caveat is the more frequent, the more battery you're going to consume. If you click on that one, minus. Let me try to get rid of that. There you go. So this is a little bike ride that, is that our entire bike ride?
No, this is your trip here.
Oh, this is my trip here. There you go. So where did I leave from? It looks like I left from the office. I actually happen to leave sometimes from the office. That was at 1:06 p.m. So those are just pings to let me know that I'm there. I probably moved around my keys, triggering an update. What is the most frequent? Actually, I've been in the office quite early this morning. 1:12 p.m. And then we can see up. Well, that's when I leave. 3:21 p.m. So that's when I started leaving and going towards this direction. So you can follow me driving up onto Lakeshore Road East, going down, whoops, all the way. I drive really fast. I shouldn't. It's a 50. Up until here. So the reason why you see this kind of data is because I'm not pinging every second. I'm pinging on a 2 minutes. So between the approximate 2 minutes to 3 minutes, this is the distance that I did. So you're seeing a bird's view trajectory here. And boom, this is my final destination. And I've been pinging a little bit more. So that's pretty much it. I'm shaking it, so it's actually updating every time I shake it. Stop touching this. And I think that's good for us.
Close this off and stop sharing.
Mhm.
There we go.
Perfect.
Was that okay, Paul and Trevor?
Yeah, I think it gives us a better understanding of some of the details around it. My first question on the B Mini is, like your other products, I assume you're sort of white labeled, right? It's not, you're not going out there and finding the customer. It's really your AT&Ts of the world and Bell. They're going out and saying, hey, this is Bell offering a brand new product, and it happens to be the B Mini, and you can cover whatever you want. Is that the case?
That is, and they have sort of a formal, they call it an NPI, a new product introduction, that they go through, and it involves certification, it involves training with their nationwide team of salespeople. Bell's an investor in us, and we tend to launch with them first. So we'll be seeing Bell light it up within the next 2 or 3 weeks, followed by AT&T and then T-Mobile. And we're hoping to get some pretty decent contribution from the product as we move into Q4. And that's where our focus is right now on Q4.
Yeah, no, I mean, this seems like such a consumer product, but maybe give us a better sense of who do you expect they're going to market to first? Is it, organizations that are going to have a lot of small products to track, or, are they going to do a B2C move here?
So I think right now we are capitalizing on the experience and the relationship that we already have. So those are, I don't know, like maybe 50 resellers, with the top 10 being AT&T, Bell, T-Mobile. So we're gonna rely on them first to go to market, and just because they support the customer, they support the end user, they put the time in the marketing, they put the time into finding the customer. Our second strategy is to go to the end user, the customers, but again through a partnership. Our partnership that we've been talking for a while is with the pet product company. So this is still ongoing. There is some certification that we have to do as well to go into that market. So we are going through the certifications right now. It's not cheap, so it's something that we don't do right away until we kind of know how much demand we're going to have, the return on investment, the forecast that we have, etc. Usually it's a good thing from our company perspective to start going through the big customers like the AT&Ts of the world, the Bells of the world, because we get the resellers, the customers are very technical. So they're going to be able to give us a really good feedback on what they see in the field. And usually you want to gather that feedback and go back to your product, make a few edits. And then, when you go to your end user, you have a product that has been really tested before you go there. I think I've mentioned that repeatedly to several investors. We never want to rush to an end user kind of use case or consumer, individuals, because you don't really have room for error. You have to sell a product that's really I don't say woody. In my head, the French is coming back. A well-rounded product to your consumers.
Fair enough. You mentioned sort of the cost of some of your other products on a sort of monthly basis. For this particular product, where do you think, what are the ongoing costs? Is it $1 a month? You said as far as some of the other products. I'm just trying to get a sense of, based on cost, what kind of products can attract here? Because clearly, the lower the cost to monitor and track, the lower the value, the thing you're going to track.
Yeah, good question, Paul. So, I mean, everything we sell is inexpensive, but that doesn't mean it's not chock full with technology. From Margaux's presentation, you heard that this little device essentially has all the major components of a cell phone. It has a cellular modem, a Bluetooth chip, a Wi-Fi chip. It has an array of sensors even broader than what you would find in a cell phone. Nevertheless, we're able to produce that. We don't sell any product over $100, and some of them start, closer to $55 to $60. This will fall in that range. The monthlies are very low relative to what we've seen in the asset tracking industry historically. And one of the reasons that we've had success with those existing products is because we do disrupt the market at low price points. So, recurring revenue on a per device basis, depending on the size of the opportunity, could be anywhere from 50 cents to $3 per device per month. It doesn't make a lot of sense to send an invoice out for 50 cents for one device. So we will start to annualize those. So, somewhere between $6 and $36 a year. And that's just, simplifies accounting. It does put a little bit of revenue into deferred revenue because you realize you pull that in as you proceed on the year. But nothing wrong with taking the cash up front. Deferred revenues are a liability, but it comes in as revenue as you bill. That's
okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that gives us a real good sense of sort of the cost. Yeah, exactly. Low enough to certainly, a lot of things I can think of that somebody would want to track if it's, call it 10 to 20 bucks a year. Changes the dynamic for sure. I've got a question, I might as well ask it right now, but what kind of demand are you either seeing or expecting on the pet tracker? I guess it sounds like it might be a little too early to say there's a current demand, but I mean, have you done any sort of studies or modeling of what you could see from that product?
So our partner has, and we can't speak to it that knowledgeably, but we can follow up with some information on that over email, Paul, and you can share it with your group. They're a company that's heavily involved in the pet industry. They have all the major clients and pet stores as existing clients, so they have all the distribution worked out. And we do, as our model to distribute through third parties is to rely on their sales and marketing, to rely on their experience, to rely on their understanding of a particular market.
So I've got another question that I was going to ask as well, but you're launching this brand new product. Do you expect there to be much cannibalization of your existing products? Clearly this could replace some of the other stuff, but maybe not. You tell me.
Yeah, we're not seeing that. The opportunities that the pre-sales and Margaux's been doing a great job. She shared a little bit on a bike share program. Bike share are big programs throughout North America. Actually a massive market just here in Toronto where we have over 5,600 if we can 6,500 if we can pull that one off. So no, the opportunities that we're hitting now, the existing products were thrown out, and that's why we kind of pre-introduced to them even in advance of being commercial, and it's going. I mean, the sales are starting before we even have product to deliver. So, the restoration equipment, that's really not a good market for our existing products because our existing products do relatively inaccurate indoor location where, when you're using Wi-Fi, you're plus or minus 100 feet of the location of the asset, and Wi-Fi is really interesting micro-location technology. So we're not seeing any parasitization. We're seeing strong demand in all the original products, and we're hoping this is just an incremental add as we move into Q4.
So you touched on another question I was going to ask was, as far as the BeWhere Mini, like how accurate is this? Are we talking feet, inches, meters?
You're looking at, if it's outdoors, using GPS to determine the location, you're looking at plus or minus 10 feet, 95% of the time. So there's a statistic around it, and you can have outliers that go beyond that, but that's how GPS is quoted. With Wi-Fi, it's the strongest signal that we locate against, and that location will peg you right at the front door of where that Wi-Fi is coming in. Now, having said that, the tag could be, in our backyard and 50 feet away from the front door, but it's always going to peg you at the front door of where that Wi-Fi is being serviced from. So Wi-Fi generally plus or minus 50 feet. But the location is always going to be bang on the warehouse or the house or wherever the Wi-Fi network is.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, I understand that now.
So with the FedEx example, they actually have multiple Wi-Fi networks across the facility, and we were able to tell them, it's in this section of this warehouse, and Please go and find it.
And I could see it, I could actually see it being moved. Like I know, because they were like, I don't know where the envelope is. I'm like, it's moved.
Yeah.
It has been touched.
Yeah. I mean, when you think ahead, when you start to think of companies like FedEx, and this is maybe too far in advance, but it's all about size and cost of your the hardware you're using right now. But so in theory, as it gets smaller, all of a sudden everything could be tracked. All these FedEx packages could literally be tracked using a device like this. Not correct?
That's exactly correct. And they're reusable, right? So it's
Right.
not like you have to justify the cost on one shipment. It's, it'll last multiple shipments without being recharged. Sorry, Marco.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking about if you dig through our AGM material, you can see the I leave the old AGM presentation on the website, and you can see that I update the market size every year, and it using the same research, and every year it's been refreshed, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows exponentially. So I think again with the AirTag launch, I think Samsung is launching a similar Bluetooth or NFC kind of tracker. There is a big trend that's showing off right now that the biggest players want to play into it. We are in the right industry. So you're completely right that, I mean, I'd like to start tracking everything. I track, I track my keys, I track my AirPods, I track my husband, I track my cat. If I could track my shoes in the morning, I would, but sometimes I don't remember where I left them.
My wife would buy dozens of these to help track everything that I lose. I could see a big market there.
Yeah, you have teenage kids, Paul, and they're one that are hard.
Oh, I've got worse. I've got twin 9-year-old boys that they're alone. I could you can generate a whole business just around my kids. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is great. Well, so as far as your roadmap, I mean, obviously this is a big deal for you guys to launch this product. But let's think even further ahead. What sort of where do you go next with innovation and stuff? I imagine everything gets smaller, everything ideally gets cheaper. But what can you tell us about what the R&D path looks like?
Just to touch on that last point you said, everything gets smaller and everything gets cheaper. With the low power cellular networks, you're bang on. This was the first time they brought out modules that were a fraction of the cost of 3G and 4G. The data plans were a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the size. That's not typical. Typical is when you move from 2G to 3G, your price points go up 200 or 300% for the module. You have to upgrade clients because networks are going to become obsolete, and it's actually a pain in the butt, not just for us but for our clients. So LTM, totally turned everything upside down with the low power 5G. The high powered 5G, which is super fast bandwidth, super low latency, you're not going to see a reduction in price. You're going to see a pretty massive increase in price. In fact, we're starting to work with Bell immediately on plans to support their high powered, high bandwidth, super low latency 5G network. And we have the development kits on order. We're going to be in the lab testing out some of the newer versions of 5G, and where we're seeing some opportunities. I mean, we're never going to, like 5G, high powered, high bandwidth 5G. There's a few major markets that are already defined. It's the vehicle to vehicle communication for autonomous driving. Right. It's the vehicle to X communication, which can be a pedestrian, it can be a bicycle, it can be a skateboard, so that they're a part of the whole infrastructure and network, because just avoiding car accidents doesn't cover the whole thing. You want to avoid, having a cyclist hit on the side of the road. That's where we can play. We're never going to be the OEM that goes inside a Ford or a GM car. Those are locked into the automotive manufacturers. But we can be the device that goes on a helmet that is a part of that V2X network to provide that security and safety. That helmet might be on a cyclist, it might be on a skateboarder, or it might be on a motorcycle rider. I mean, there's an argument to be made that the last thing a motorcycle owner wants to do is be autonomous. You don't buy a bike so that it drives you from A to B. You drive a bike to crank the throttle and have some fun. Nevertheless, there's a lot of benefits for them to be a part of the network to avoid accidents, to be able to alert. And that's the area that we can play when you're taking these newer 5G high-speed products. You know, there are certain market segments that companies like us can get in there early and get some market share with the help of, you know, our partners at Bell. And so that's where we're going. I mean, you know, what we did well with the low-powered 5G is we got in there early. You are seeing a lot of information come out about 5G, but there's various steps to 5G. And this V2X network and V2B network that I just described is not in the cards today. This is in the cards 2 to 3 years from now.
Right.
And that's why it's important for us to kind of get in the lab and get the prototypes going, get the demonstrations, you know, ensure that our partners know what we're up to and remain relevant in their eyes. So that's some of the plans going forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I mean, the way I see it then is you've gone, I'll call it down market. You've gone to smaller, cheaper with the BeWhere Mini, but it sounds like the sort of next evolution is you got to be more accurate, more data,
faster, you know, communication, lower latency.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I can clearly see some more opportunities here developing because, like you said, all the autonomous driving and the IoT component of all this sort of stuff, where cars have to be aware of all sorts of things around them, and everything around has to be aware of the car. You can start to see a whole different market developing.
Sure. And the social impact is huge, especially in Canada, where we have public health care. You know, if you can reduce those accidents that are happening right across Canada on a daily basis, it's a big thing. Not just, you know, the lives lost or injuries, but there's a financial impact right across the entire healthcare system. It's big.
Sure. Yeah, no, and clearly data is, you know, a big part of the future. Everybody's talking about how that data is going to get moved around and yeah, just the nature of it all and where it's going to reside and how it's going to move. I think, yeah, I can see the opportunity ahead of you guys.
The real big thing in the next generation of 5G, like when we look at wireless technology, we always try and point to the silver bullet of innovation. For the LTM, it was low-powered cellular, getting small devices operate for, in this case, close to 2 years, but not reporting that frequently. For the other aspect of 5G, it's about latency. You know, it's about having a vehicle be able to communicate with a pedestrian or another vehicle in a fraction of a second. That's the innovation that's coming. And, you know, it's a little bit esoteric for a lot of people to kind of hear 5G and narrow it down to what that innovation is and then where you can develop product around it. And that's where we have really strong engineers with a ton of experience that can narrow it down. Albin Hoxha, you know, he's just an all-star. And, you know, that's how we roll, Paul.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, you're doing it right. Why don't we talk a little bit about the numbers? So clearly a great quarter in my opinion here. But you break down a little bit more in terms of what caused that. Product sales, you had an improvement in your recurring revenue. But like you're launching a new product, I'm always asking if some of the revenue increases sort of pre-orders or call it inventory loading. If not, you know, explain why you had a good quarter.
Yeah, we're just, we continue to see strong demand. You know, one of the contracts that came in the quarter that Margaux was super active on and did a bang up job was through New York City. So we're starting to see some of the government business come back. The private sector did well throughout COVID. So we are seeing more contribution come from the government sector, which is super nice. They've kind of been on hold for the last little while. And we're seeing strong demand in the private sector. So, you know, we're finally getting a lot of recognition for the years of hard work that we've put into it. Our reputation is solid amongst the largest carriers in North America or worldwide for that matter. And you know, the team just continues to work it.
Yeah, we can say we even get referred a few times by the big guys like AT&T or Bell when they can't take contract because of price constriction. They just say, go to BeWhere directly. I mean, it's very validating for us to have a company such as Bell AT&T saying, just deal with them. You're good.
Fantastic. Yeah, it never hurts having some big names doing the selling for you like that. Why don't we take a couple questions that I see here? I mean, you guys have some visibility in your business going forward. I mean, are you guys I don't think you guys are putting any guidance out now, but are you guys considering doing that in the future?
We are considering it. You're correct. We haven't put out guidance historically. As we move into 2022, I think you'll start seeing us provide a little bit more guidance. You know, one of the difficulties with the distribution model we had is the visibility and the forecasting. You're one step removed from the end user, but we're getting better at it. We're working with our large partners to you know, provide more access to information, and it's in their best interest as well to make sure they don't run out of product as they move forward.
Well, good. That's going to lead to one of the other questions there. You know, we're still dealing with COVID issues, and I continue to hear sort of supply logistics issues. Are you guys having any issues with any of your components, any of your products, any manufacturing, anything like that?
We're doing good. We're you know, daily, weekly, and sometimes daily calls with all our component and contract manufacturers. Obviously, producing record revenues in the quarter is an indication that we're doing okay. But we've also, you know, we have some cash in the bank, and we can make some commitments to these guys, and that's what they're looking for, is hard commitments on purchase orders, so that they can plan accordingly, and everybody can be held to a date. And you know, Chris and Ivan and the rest of the team that are involved in fulfillment have just been doing a bang up job. We just keep improving at these things as we go forward. Now, having said that, we have had to design out some components because of shortages, and design in some new components and run through some rapid testing and prototyping. And that's just a part of the game. That, you know, that falls on Albin's team, and they manage it quite well. Really impressive to see the guys go.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned cash. You guys are still sitting on a healthy amount of cash for the size of your business. Any sort of new ideas, or what can we as investors assume that you're going to use that cash for?
Oh, don't expect a financing. We think the share we think we're fairly valued at twice the price, maybe 3 times the price, especially because we're still growing. We've turned the corner. We're producing positive cash flow. You know, we've managed to continue to invest in R&D, and we're going to continue to do that, because as a technology company, you have to keep launching new products, because, you know, 3 years from now, you're going to see the hit if you don't do that. So we're managing well. You know, I personally have been in the market buying some stock. You'll see a steady report come out. I'm chasing it a little bit, so I haven't got as much as I wanted, but I think you're going to see a bunch of insiders all doing the same thing.
Gotcha. Well, you can blame probably some of the listeners here for why you're chasing it, because I know there's a number of guys here that have been buying some stock as well. So
if you guys want to hold off for a day or two to get my fill.
I can't promise you anything that way. Now, I sort of know the answer, but are there any institutions or analysts that are looking at you guys or following you right now? You're still pretty small.
We are small. We're starting to get some calls from them, and the, you know, the boutique investment bankers, the mid-small guys are starting to take notice of the results. We do have institutional shareholders. The last round we did, I mean, Bell was the lead order. We had a bunch of insider participation, but we did bring in about 4 or 5 institutions that play in small cap. Margaux was a part of the marketing. You know, you never know if these guys are still in or still out. Some of them certainly are. Some of the family offices that I stay very close with have accumulated. They've traded as well, and you know, when it drops back, they load back up. You know, they're happy. They've made money from us, and that's what you want to see in those types of professional shareholders.
And remind everybody, the last financing you guys did, I think, was about 2 years ago. What price was that done at?
19 cents. Yeah, 19 cents.
19 cents. Yeah. So, okay, so the stock's barely trading above that old financing price. Okay, and you guys are hitting record numbers, so interesting.
Yeah, we're due for a correction, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let me throw this question here. I'll read it as I see it here. Can you provide any color on recurring revenues? I know it dropped due to how you guys pass on costs, but does not impact gross margins. Do we see huge growth there as product sales seem to be ramping up? So,
yeah, that's a great question, and they nailed it. It actually margin improved. We had a historic contract that goes back about 5 years ago with a large armored car company. They do use some of our technology, but we were also reselling some third-party technology in that. We renegotiated a 3-year contract. In return, we just kept the profit on the contract, and they're going direct for the other components. So gross margin on recurring revenue went up. Bottom line on recurring revenue had no impact associated with that renegotiation. But you know, if we were to equalize things and all things being equal, you would have seen about a 50 grand uptick in profit on the recurring revenue component. It did hit top line on recurring revenue, and you know, that was more than made up with new hardware sales in the quarter. Had we not seen that, we would have been a little over 2.5 million in top line in the quarter. But you know, like I said, an improvement on gross margin on recurring revenue, and with the new ads, our net income went up on recurring revenue to the tune of 50 grand. So we didn't spend a lot of time in the news release on it. Margaux likes to say we pay by the word on the news releases, and it just took me 5 minutes to explain that all. But
everything affects the bottom line. Yeah.
That's right. It is in the MD&A, and it's fully disclosed.
Yeah. No, a number of us picked that up, and that was good to point out. So just it's more a revenue recognition you know, issue than anything else. And
I really like Brad's comment, by the way.
Yeah, well, there you go. You can blame Brad for why you're not able to get it.
Making me chase this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, no, and a number of our audience I know are big fans of the company, including myself. So, yeah, good support from the group for sure. Listen, what catalysts should investors be looking for over the next little while to sort of show that you guys are continue to move in the right direction?
Yeah, the uptake on the Mini in Q4. Continue to look at our financial results. Obviously, you know, there's top line focus, but we're equally focused on bottom line performance. You know, at these levels, we're not interested in any M&A discussion, either purchasing with stock or being bought out. We just think there's a lot of value left in this thing before we're going to have those discussions. We're going to continue to, you know, look for the launch in the Mini through the carriers. Look for, you'll see us if you follow. You know, we encourage everybody to follow us online, social media. LinkedIn is a good platform, and you'll see us starting to share some of those launches with the carriers as we move into September and October.
Fantastic. I've sort of exhausted my questions. It looks like we've exhausted the questions from listeners. Is there any key takeaway you guys want everybody to leave with today?
No, just, you know, Paul and Trevor, we certainly appreciate your guys' support. It's been a good working relationship. We're going back over a year now, and just, you know, a huge thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If somebody wants more information, remind us what your website address is.
You can send an email to info@BeWhere.com, BEWHERE.com.
There you go, BeWhere.com. Perfect. Well, we've been talking to Owen Moore and Margaux Berry. Always great to catch up with you guys. Again, congratulations on a great quarter. And we certainly look forward to catching up with you guys in the future.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye now.